AJ says, I'd love to get into how absolutely fucking stupid it is the NHL has a rematch of last year's Cup and didn't schedule a game for either last weekend or this coming weekend. Yeah, that's a really good point. And it's actually something that I thought about bringing up over on the side rail, on the side screen here, and I think I will. Because, admittedly, in my brain, I thought that, I knew that the finals were going to be starting soon. And in my mind, I was like, okay, I know that they typically space these series out, but, it can't possibly be that bad, can it? And then I looked at it, and, it's even worse. I know that when we get to the final, in the Stanley Cup final, we get to the NBA Finals, I know that it's always bad. But I don't know what it was. This feels significantly worse to me. I want to show you guys, and I mentioned earlier, the NHL, the Stanley Cup final starts on Wednesday, NBA Finals start on Thursday. But to AJ's point, right? If we're looking at when you should try to market your game, when you should try to market, the ultimate pinnacle of your sport, you should probably make it where it's available, especially on the weekend, also at a decent hour. Just want to show you this really quick. Here's the NBA final schedule, okay? This starts on Thursday, okay? Game 1 is slated to start on Thursday at 8:30. Not a bad time. I can work in the 8s. The 8s are fine. A little bit late, but it's fine. Thursday, then they don't play again until Sunday night, which I question. I feel like Sunday should be dinner time. Why can't that be a 5 o'clock game on Sunday? I get that there's a time zone difference. Why can't it be a 5 or a 6 o'clock start? I always come back to if you're trying to grow the game and you're trying to make it more readily accessible to the next generation of fans, right? I know that we're getting close to summer. Some school districts are done. Some are on their last few days, and then some have another week left. Shouldn't you want the finals to be available to everyone? Okay. So you go Thursday, Sunday, then Wednesday, then a Friday, then a Monday. So no Saturday or Sunday game next weekend. And if it goes to game 6, which I don't even know if it will, that's 3 days later. That's a Thursday. And then if that doesn't work out, you're looking at the following, is that a Monday, the 22nd, I think? No, it's a Sunday. What are we doing here? It's so spaced out. Why? And then if you look at the Stanley Cup final is almost even more infuriating. So they start on Wednesday, then they play Friday night. So if we look at this, heads up, you have the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday alternating between the NBA and NHL. So it's not the worst thing. And a Friday night, you're not going to catch me complaining. And by the way, Edmonton way out in the West, they could have somehow bullshit their way into saying, a 9 o'clock start is more advantageous to the fine folks of Edmonton. No. So 8 o'clock starts across the board. I also love the fact that it's consistent. 8 o'clock, great. So you go Wednesday, Friday, Monday, big gap to Thursday, Saturday, and then you're going 3 days later, and then another 3 days. So let's see, is there an overlap at all? We have a Wednesday, we have the 4th and the 6th, no. We have the 8th and the 9th alternating, so no. We have the 11th, 12th, 13th, no overlap there. How about the 14th? No. Nothing on the 15th for either league, which is going to feel weird. You have the 16th in the NBA, the 17th in the NHL, nothing on the 18th. The 19th would be Game 6 of the NBA. The 17th would be Game 6 of Oilers-Panthers. Then the 20th would close out the Stanley Cup final if it gets to 7 games, which I find possible. We'll talk about that in a second. And then, in theory, you could have a 2-day gap until Game 7 of an NBA Finals that will certainly not get to 7 games on the 22nd. But here's my problem. You're looking at 17 days from the start of the NBA Final to what could end up being Game 7. And if you're an NHL fan, you're looking at a 16-day gap from Game 1 in Edmonton to a potential Game 7 in Edmonton. And I'm sorry, I get that you want these players to be as healthy as possible and you have to allow for travel and all that. I get it. Fine. These series take too long, and it is going to kill the excitement around the final series in each league. I don't understand why we need to ensure so much time in between. To me, it feels ridiculous. I mean, even when the conference finals were going on, we were talking about the fact that the NHL conference finals, it was every other day. And it still kind of felt like it was taking a long time. Now you're talking about the same thing, and then you have this bigger gap in between where you have like a 3-day gap between game 2 and game 3, they just feel too spread out. And I don't enjoy it. I honestly think that it's like it's a buzzkill. I think it's a buzzkill. Connor Buss agrees. His cup final schedule is horrendous. Ray Supper says Bettman wants a beach day between games 3 and 4. Anthony DeGrazio says it's all a money grab. And also says NHL games should not be played in June. First round shouldn't be 7 games. There is actually a point to be made for that. I just think that it's way too long. And if you're trying to get excited, right? Like, what's the thing that builds the most excitement as you're watching the best 2 teams or the teams that are supposed to be the best in their respective conferences? What's the thing that gets you excited? You want to see them play on back-to-back nights. You want to see there only be like a 1-day gap between playing in one arena and then having to go across the country playing in another. The entirety of the series should take like at most, 10 days, 11 days? We're talking about 14, 16, 16 days. It needs to take over 2 weeks to play 7 games? I think not. I think it's pathetic. Now, the good news for the NHL and the NBA is that they at least were smart enough to not schedule each other on the same day. So you will, in theory, if you get to a point where these series do get into games 5, 6, and 7, you are going to have like that feeling of almost every other night there's a championship game on TV. Now, I don't think that there's a ton of crossover in NBA and NHL fandoms. I really don't. I'm one of them. But I don't know a lot of people who are going to go out of their way to watch every Stanley Cup final game and are going to watch every NBA Finals game. But like, I'll be one of those people. So the fact that I kind of get treated to like a game a night, I guess it's nice. I just hate the gaps in between. I think they're too long.